In 1997, Peter Likins arrived in Tucson, assuming the presidency of the University of Arizona. That marked a point in a long academic journey from UCLA to Columbia and Lehigh University. He's published a new memoir, a departure from academia. Instead, he gives us a love story, one that reflects his intimate observations of the evolution of the American family. Welcome, Dr. Likins. What a great honor to see you again.
Kim, it's good to be back with you.
And we're talking about your book. It's not rocket science today. It's about your book.
That's
and tell
correct,
us, first of all, why you chose to write this book.
When I first put pen to paper, I wasn't writing a book. I was writing a love letter to my wife. I had just retired, and I'd experienced an injury to my heart that damn near killed me, and I was seeing the world through different lenses, and I understood in my own heart that I had to say to my wife how much I love you and how important our life together has been. So I started writing this little journal. And it's just a handwritten journal of 57 pages.
My goodness.
That I wrote over a period of 4 months and gave to her on our 51st wedding anniversary. So that's the genesis. That's a love letter. And when much later, through a succession of alternative modes of communication, I actually wrote this book for a public readership, the editors said, you should give this a subtitle, A Love Story. And so now it's not a love letter to my wife, it's a love letter to my country. That's basically what it is.
And you see that throughout the book. And it's not titled A New American Family by mistake. And your family is representative of that, and you talk about it a lot in your book. Describe what you were going for there.
Yeah, but we weren't going for, in the beginning, anything but a beautiful family. And back in the 1960s and 70s, it was very unusual to assemble an interracial family through adoption. Now we look around this country and we try to imagine what's unfolding in the next 10 or 20 or 30 years. And you realize, my family looks like America. It wasn't the big design, but that's what's unfolding. And that's the retrospective view, to realize that our love affair with kids, just building our own little family, has turned into an experience that matters to America. Because the racial mix and the diversity of my family in so many different ways mirrors the America that's unfolding in the 21st century. And the point of the book is to say to people, hey, we're not just a weird family from the 60s. We are America. We are a new American family.
But it was different for you back in the
weird.
60s. That was very difficult. Tell us a little bit about those adoptions, 6 adoptions. Mm-hmm. And all of these were special children. And you had a lot of hoops to jump through in those days.
Yes, but we didn't think about it as difficult. Interracial adoption was something that people could write about and theorize about and do studies about. We didn't do any of those things. The first black child that we adopted, we already had 2 children at that time, both adopted children. The first black child that we adopted, my wife saw on the television screen. She was homesick with the measles, and there was a television personality who had played host to some showing of films, movies, and between 2 movies, he had 15 minutes for what he called adoption interviews. Then he put children on the screen who were, quote, unadoptable by virtue of age or race or medical infirmity. They were just not likely to get placed. And so my wife saw Krista, who was then 4 months old, on the television screen. I came home that night, and she might as well have said, honey, I'm pregnant. We're going to have another baby. And we didn't debate the fact that she's black. That was just not part of the conversation. She was actually born to a white woman, a black biological father. My wife fell in love with a child, period. And again and again.
Again and again, 6 times. Well, but you, along the way, you were encountering certain issues of race, gender, class throughout this journey. And how did you approach those? And what kinds of actions did you take that you see as being lasting?
I need to say that for us, it was all spontaneous. It was not planned. We were not engaged in some kind of a cause. We were building a beautiful family. And I have a very special woman for a wife with whom I've been married for 55 years. And she kept seeing these adorable, wonderful children who needed us as much as we needed them. And then we coped as the circumstances required. So if there were racial tensions or questions of sexual orientation or much later problems of alcohol or drugs, or you just deal with it as the circumstances require. not out of any kind of a grand plan. So I would never try to write a textbook on how to be a parent. We've just...
I think that's impossible. There is
impossible.
no guidebook.
It's impossible.
But you did take a lot of those lessons from those difficulties that you had with your family in terms of mental illness and homosexuality and in terms of race, and you did apply them into those academic settings.
There's no question, but what raising my children helped me do my job as a university president, and conversely, learning from the campus community of students and faculty and staff, for that matter, helped me better understand the challenges with my children, whether it relates to race or sexual orientation or physical or mental disability. All those issues one deals with as a university president, and then you take those lessons home. And I think you become more compassionate in dealing with your students when people you love desperately in your own home share those same challenges.
You have touched on this, but what is your message? What do you want people to take away from this love story?
I want them to understand that what may have seemed a bit weird when we started putting this family together in the 1960s and 1970s has turned out to be, quite by chance, not by design, has turned out to be an assembly, a family that looks like the America of the 21st century. And if we are going to continue to be a nation whose greatness is rooted in the character and the family values of our people, we need to expand our understanding of the word family. We need to be inclusive of all Americans, not just the white Protestant males who had the courage and the wisdom to found this country, to create this great nation. That's what's necessary for the future of America. I want everybody to understand that.
And do you think that's happening?
Well, in November 4th, 2008, my wife and I listened to the chorus of political analysts announce that Barack Obama was to be our president. And I burst into tears, uncontrollable sobbing. And in trying to understand why I responded to that so emotionally, I came to believe that these things are all tied together in my mind. I was not crying for Barack Obama. I was not sobbing for my family. I was crying for joy for my country. So I have seen America in the course of my now 74 years change in very, very fundamental ways. Does that mean that we are there? No. But if you lift your head high and look to the horizon, you can see a new America in which families like mine have a comfortable place.
How did the University of Arizona influence your life story?
Well, University of Arizona was, when I arrived here in 1997, remarkably diverse, and in a community in Tucson that's much more accepting of differences than I would say any place else I have ever lived. And so it was a natural place for me to come home and continue to develop a culture of acceptance and of inclusiveness, but in a university environment that was already well advanced in that direction, better than any other university I've ever been a part of.
Well, I think people will be happy to attend your book signing tomorrow. We will put the information on our website, and I really...
5 o'clock, bookstore, I'll be there.
Okay.
Lots of pictures.
All right, it's been great to have you here.
Thank you so much.